What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Early Edge. A very, very happy Wednesday to you. We're only one day away from the NBA being back on track, but don't worry, we've got NBA picks in the here and now in today's show. Let's talk about yesterday's show. Let's take a look at the recap screen. This is a losing record. We got Tom Casale going 2-0 again. I believe he's 6-0 or maybe 8-0, something like that. 6-0, I think, on this show on the Early Edge. Zach Simony hits Creighton as the dog at home. Absolutely worked the UConn Huskies. I lose my Butler play. Buckets loses. Griffin Carroll loses. Don't forget, Griffin Carroll usually giving us even money to plus money plays. But listen, we got to do better than this. And frankly, I think we have the crew to not only entertain you today, but to get you some winners, to get you that winning record. We'll recap it tomorrow. And those picks that we'll recap, they'll be from Tim Doyle and his hammer. They'll be from Mikey B and his air traffic control. And then, of course, Martin Green and Mike McClure. We've got so much today. We've got NBA. We've got some college basketball. We've got some PGA picks. By the way, the early wedge is already in your feed. Check that out. But I've got a new pick for today for round one. Let's talk, gentlemen, NBA futures. Let's start out right there. We've got MVP futures. Again, basketball kicks back up tomorrow. Tim, I got to start with you. You missed last week. You were calling a game because you're Mr. Popular. You're needed everywhere. Speaking of popular, though, Jokic, SGA, Doncic, the Greek Freak, Jason Tatum, any of these MVP futures that you actually like?
Yeah, nothing of value, Sia. Jokic is the Larry Bird, the Magic Johnson of this era. So, Bird had a stretch where, I believe it was 9 years where he finished first or second in every one of those 9 years and winning 3 in a row. But the other 6 years he finished second. We're looking at the same thing with Joker. So I think the odds are only going to go to minus 250, minus 300, minus 400. So if you want to get in, see it, now is the time to be it.
I'll tell you what, I'm in on your shirt. Does that say gold Sia Nejad? Because appreciate it. Can I get one of those?
You can get one of those, and it's gold SN. So no, it's not season either. It's just gold SN. But thank you for calling it out. I appreciate it. I also want you to send me a link for the Mrs. Book. Okay, I want to get into the pizza book. Okay, the children's book. I'm trying to, because I have never read off a prompter, McClure. So when I read aloud my children's books, it's like, and then they walked into the door, like, because I don't read very well. All right, so I need to start at your wife's children's book level and then build my way up.
I absolutely love that. My wife, a children's book author, she's got 2 books out. I will send you that link if anybody's interested. Let me know.
Yes.
Mike McClure, your response to whatever Tim just said, and again, SN has to stand for Sia Nejad. Also, your response to the NBA MVP.
Yeah, I'd love to know the last time Tim Doyle read a book, but I think it was correct, Tim calling out when he said, I don't read very well. I'm shocked to know that Tim knows how to read, to be honest with you. But, when I look at this board here, it's Nikola Jokic, minus 130. Tim's dead on. It's the last opportunity to buy on him. I think he's got one particular thing working in his favor here, other than being the best basketball player on the planet. The fact that voters gave this award to Joel Embiid last year and kind of felt silly and looked silly in doing so based on last year. Embiid played fine this year before the injury, but last year, Nikola Jokic should have been the MVP. He made everyone look silly throughout the playoffs and in the finals. I think a few voters maybe regret giving that one to Embiid. So I think this is all Nikola Jokic here. Grabs another one. Like Tim said, this will be minus 200 probably in the next week and a half.
All right, Nikola Jokic. I can tell you, Martin Green, by the way, I'm going to come to you. You're going to have to give me a name, but we go to Mikey B first. Mikey, I know SGA is a popular pick among a lot of people right now, but it's hard to go against what Mike McClure just said. Where are you at on this one?
Yeah, I'm not going to argue against Jokic. The only reason why I would take SGA and he's going to be my pick is just because of the plus 210 odds. He's really having a great season. The one difference here is the Nuggets are currently the 4th seed in the West. They're only 3 out of the top seed, so it's not like they're way down there. The Thunder are only 1.5 games back of the Timberwolves for the top seed. If they win the West, that's going to really help SGA. Say maybe the Nuggets actually do finish 4th. What I like about SGA is not only is he averaging over 31 points a game, but he's shooting 54.6% from the field. He has a big impact on defense. He's averaging 2.2 steals per game. So if you are going to take a chance on someone outside of Jokic, I would go with SGA at the plus 210 odds.
Now, Martin, we're going to get to your soccer pick in a second. And I got to say, the chat seems to be, I saw this on Twitter before the show. The chat seems to be all over Arsenal in some way today, so maybe you'll be backing that up. I see the flex. Maybe that'll be one of your picks, but do you have a pick for the MVP before we move on to some finals futures and our official picks?
Yeah, I'll have to go for Nikola Jokic as I think he's the Bukayo Saka of the NBA, the best player in the business. And I think he's angry, like you said, that he didn't win it last year. So even at short odds of -130, I still think that's a very attractive price. You'll get a much better return on that than you will on a government bond or the S&P 500 or something like that. So yeah, I'll put my money on Jokic too.
All right, Jokic, like Mike McClure's pick as well. There, I do think SGA's is somebody I had my eye on, but I think Jokic is probably the best player. All right, let's go to our official picks. But before we do that, let's take a look at the finals futures real quick, because we're talking about some of these guys that are the MVP candidates that are involved in these finals futures. I mean, the Thunder all the way down to 22-1, all the way down there at 22-1, but the Nuggets at +450, Celtics +260. Mike, I'm going to start with you this time. If you had to take somebody here, any value?
It's going to be a Nuggets lean for me. Look, I think that the Celtics are by far the best team in the regular season right now, and that's the reason why you're getting certain numbers on other teams. But when I look at the Nuggets, they have the best basketball player in the world, especially in that format. Teams have seen him in action. They have tried to slow him down, but the key word is try. It's very, very difficult. He changes the way you have to play defensively. And then you've got Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray is someone who lives for the big moment, really elevates his play in those tougher matchups, but probably the biggest strength for them in the playoffs is going to be Aaron Gordon, his size, athleticism, the way he can defend. It allows Jokic to do what he needs to do on the offensive end. So for me, it's going to be the year of the repeat. We saw it in the NFL with Kansas City. I think we see it here, and I wouldn't be shocked if we saw it in Major League Baseball as well.
Ooh, very interesting tease. Only less than, I think, 30 days, right around 30 days till MLB opening day. Mikey B, I go to you. Who do you like as your NBA Finals winner?
Yeah, I took the Celtics at the beginning of the season, and I'm going to stick with them there, even though they're the heavy favorites. I do worry about their late game execution, mainly because I have no faith in Joe Mazzulla. He is not a very good coach. They've been winning these games because their talent is off the charts, as Mike was saying. They're the most talented team in the league, especially when Kristaps Porzingis is healthy. He is really a difference maker for them. So I'm going to stick with my preseason pick with the Celtics. If you do want to go real long, I do like the Knicks at plus 1,800. I really like the depth that they've built. So they'd be my long shot. Like I said, if the Celtics collapse because of their coaching, similar kind of scenario with the Bucks, the Knicks might be the team that come out of the East.
Tim Doyle, before I go to you, I will say this about the Celtics, because I do fear the Nuggets. I do fear the Clippers when we're talking NBA Finals, but I know it's a short number, but the Celtics at plus 100, plus 110 to win the East, I really like that, because I just don't see really anyone challenging them. I don't think the Bucks are nearly as good, nearly as deep as the Celtics. And without Embiid, I don't see the 76ers making noise. Knicks really the only problem potentially as far as I can see it. And I don't think the Knicks are going to beat the Celtics either. So I would prefer, if I'm taking the Celtics, I actually prefer go Eastern Conference at even money, plus 110. But Tim, we're talking NBA Finals winner now. Who do you like?
I was just at the All-Star game, had this same conversation with Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal. Actually, I did an O-bomb with Charles Barkley, which he had never done before. If you've never done an O-bomb, Martin, not sure if it's made it over to your neck of the woods, but it's Bacardi and Red Bull. Woo! And we drank it, and he goes, how many more can we drink of those? I go, 3 of those, Chuck, and you're going to be dancing on the bar. So we only had one just to get the blood flowing a little bit. Everybody's right. The Celtics are the best team in the NBA. When healthy, got to put that caveat on there. Kristaps Porzingis has played this many playoff games, okay? And this many is how many seasons he's played of 65-plus games. And why am I giving you those numbers? Because Sia, every single year he gets hurt. So if he remains healthy, yes, the East is an absolute joke. They're going to run away with it. If he gets hurt, now the pressure starts to mount because this is the Celtics year, right? But haven't we seen this movie before where they just can't get over the hump? So I think Barner's onto something with the Knicks at 18-1. I'll even take a stretch even a little bit further. I just looked up the Heat's odds right now, 35-1. Miami's got Jimmy Butler. He's 35 years old, but he's just not a regular season player anymore. He misses 25, 30 games every regular season. But once they get into the playoffs, guys, I think they're better this year. Hero, Rozier, Jaquez, I think their team is actually better, and they're built. They have a culture. They defend, and you're getting 35-1 odds to win the NBA championship. You could hedge at all different points. So, yeah, your analysis is spot on. Boston, if healthy, is the best team. But Denver did go into Boston and beat the Celtics. If I had to risk my family, my 3 kids, my house, my sport court in the backyard, I would take the Nuggets to win it all.
I mean, all these name drops. He's got a sport court in his own backyard, and then he's got. Is that a true story? You were drinking with Chuck and Shaq?
Yes, I was drinking with Chuck. I was with Shaq. I was doing the NBA All-Star Game for NBA TV. As I am the gambling guru for the NBA. I don't know how that's happened because basically I look at McClure's picks and then I just pawn them off as my own. Like I pay for SportsLine. And if you don't, you're making a mistake because Mike moves lines. And then I just go like this. And then I use all McClure's stuff and then I just make it my own. Is that bad? I'm sorry.
No. That's perfectly allowed. It's within the SportsLine universe. You're such a show off, by the way. Shaq and Chuck, I'm actually super jealous. Speaking of celebrities, let's talk Jamie Foxx. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get $150 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $5 and you will receive $150 instantly in bonus bets, regardless of your wager's outcome, with bonus code EDGE150. That's EDGE150. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're finally going to get into our official plays, and we're going to start with Martin Green and soccer, and I don't know, maybe some Arsenal. But before we get there, one quick message from our partners.
The Scudetto, where the soul of Italy meets the pinnacle of calcio. Catch Serie A on CBS Sports Network and streaming live on Paramount+.
Walter Rogers says, M squared is the best capper going. No arguments from the four of us here. Martin Green, you are a soccer capper and you're a darn good one. Let's talk about a couple of plays that you have on the pitch.
Thank you very much, Sia. I'm glad you didn't ask me about the NBA Finals because it's obviously going to be the Philadelphia 76ers. But yeah, sticking to my more of my forte, I will go with the Arsenal game. So Champions League resumes today, and Arsenal have a relatively difficult trip to Portugal to face Porto at Estadio do Dragão. But they are on a 5-game winning streak. They have fired in 21 goals in the process. They're coming off a 6-0 win against the strong West Ham team and a 5-0 win against Burnley. Just on fire right now. I backed them to beat Porto at -120 a couple of weeks ago. The odds have shortened since then, which just reflects Arsenal's fine form. I think they can get the job done. Porto lost home and away to Barcelona in the group stage. They haven't done well against their best domestic rivals this season, Benfica and Sporting Lisbon. It's going to be a really tight game, but I am backing Arsenal to secure a narrow win. In the other game, I probably would go both teams to score an over 2.5 goals in the Napoli-Barcelona game, but I don't like that one quite as much. So I'm looking stateside because the MLS season gets underway today. Inter Miami are hosting Real Salt Lake at Chase Stadium in Florida tonight. Veteran striker Luis Suarez has now moved to Miami to join forces with former Barcelona teammate Lionel Messi. That duo terrorized Real Madrid for 6 years in a trophy-laden period in Spain. So I really think they should be able to run rings around Real Salt Lake. Both of those players are now old. They're 36 and 37 respectively. But Messi was terrific when he moved to Miami last season. And Suarez is actually the reigning player of the year in Brazil. So they're both fantastic. I couldn't decide which one of them to back for anytime goal scorer. Like them both. So in the end, I just went for Inter Miami with a -1 Asian handicap at -114. That means I get paid out if they win by 2 clear goals, and I get my money back if they only win by a single goal.
All right, you get the push if they win by 1. I don't know if you answered this in your first Arsenal play, but Steve Lochner asks, score prediction for the Arsenal game.
Ooh, I will go for a 2-1 win for Arsenal. I think Porto do have the quality to get on the score sheet in this game. They are dangerous in attack, but just the way Arsenal have been playing lately, I think they should secure a narrow win.
All right. And Chris Kish says, Martin going heart and brain, best combo. All right. We go to another brain in Mike Brain Barner. You've got an NBA play. You've got an NBA future, but it's not one of the futures that we just saw. It's a division future. Talk to us about your play.
We're going to take the Magic to win the Southeast Division at +125. They're currently tied atop the division with the Heat. They have identical 30 and 25 records. No one else in the division is going to challenge those two. I went through the schedule. The Magic have a cakewalk. They have the easiest strength of schedule left in the NBA and by a wide margin. Here are some of their opponents. They play the Hornets 3 times. They play the Pistons, Nets, and Raptors 2 times each. They also have single games against the Wizards, Grizzlies, and Trailblazers. I counted out, I think they get easily at least 16 more wins this season. Meanwhile, on the Heat side of things, we don't know how long Terry Rozier is going to be out with his knee injury. And we know that the Heat are only preparing for the playoffs. They do not care about their regular season record. I think the Magic are going to push for the 5th or 6th seed to get out of the play-in. The Heat just want to make the playoffs, whether it's as a top 6 seed or in the play-in itself. So they're not going to push. We're going to get plus odds here. So we're going to take the Magic to win the Southeast Division.
And we were talking pre-show. Mike McClure, I know this isn't your pick. It's Mikey B's pick. But this is a pick that you actually gave some support to pre-show, correct?
Yeah, definitely. It's the strength of schedule and just the way this team plays defensively still. I think that they will have some big efforts, but really favorable spots right out of the gate here in the second half.
All right. Love the support there. And by the way, Amax is in the chat. He says he hopes everyone is having a positive day. And we got Griffin Carroll in the chat. I believe he likes Tage Thompson shots today. So something to keep in mind. He'll be answering questions for you if you have any NHL questions. We got to get to my round 1 3-ball for tomorrow, which starts before this show, which is why I'm giving it out today. And we got to get to Tim Doyle's college basketball, his NBA, and we got to get to Mike McClure's college basketball pick. And we'll do that right after this break.
Out there are 2 colossal beings, both forces of nature in their own regard. But in here, as soon as the chute bursts open, the duality of man and beast begins to fade. This is the PBR on CBS Sports Network.
So we have the Mexico Open tomorrow at Vedanta, and this is going to start like we've had this West Coast swing where the tee times have really started after this show has started. Well, we're starting to, come like towards the east. We'll have the Florida swing before you know it, and some of these are going to be starting 6, 7 in the morning. So we've got a play for tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning, which is why I'm giving it out right here, right now. I might have another 3-ball on tomorrow's show, but it'll be in the afternoon after this show starts. My 3-ball is Victor Perez. This is a name that, not a lot of people know. Over Alexander Bjork, another name not a lot of people know. And Ben Siegel, a name that nobody knows. So here's the thing. Victor Perez, I do think is the better golfer, and he's the better course fit. I expect him to have kind of a surprisingly good tournament. I don't think he's going to win the tournament by any means. There's a lot of players that we talked about on the early wedge yesterday that we actually think are going to win this tournament. But Victor Perez really has been good across all metrics. The putter has been a problem for him, but it's that the Paspalum is the green type that he actually prefers. So I like Victor Perez in this particular tournament. Alexander Bjork has also been good with the ball striking, which is why his odds are comparable to Victor Perez's. They're plus 115 versus Victor Perez being plus 110. By the way, Ben Siegel is like plus 400. He doesn't really have a shot in this one. The problem with Bjork, first of all, the good news about Bjork is the metrics are good across the board other than off the tee. The problem with him on this course, which is relatively long, he's very short off the tee, and his long iron play is probably going to suffer as well. Victor Perez doesn't have that problem. He's relatively long off the tee. I like the long iron play, and again, the green type I think favors Victor Perez quite a bit. He'll bounce back with the putter. So give me plus money, plus 110 over Alexander Bjork and Ben Siegel. All right. We move on to Tim Doyle. We move on to the NBA and college basketball. He's got the hammer. He must be feeling confident. Tim, you've got the floor, my friend.
I'm going to go NBA first. Barner. See that right there, buddy? It's February, right? Love is in the air, and I love your Magic pick, okay? And I'm going to start off the second half right with the Orlando Magic. I think the Magic have not one in Paolo Banchero. I think they have 2 perennial all-stars in Banchero and Franz Wagner. And you look at their schedule the rest of the second half, a ton of winnable games. You're getting 7.5 against the Cavs. Should the Cavs be favored in this game? Absolutely. They're at home. They're playing great basketball. Donovan Mitchell probably isn't getting enough love as far as in the MVP conversation. He is carrying a team that has missed Evan Mobley, that has missed Darius Garland. They should be 3.5. 7.5 is absolutely crazy. Got to take the dog in this spot. And then let's go to the Big Ten where, yes, at one time, I was an all Big Ten basketball player. Yes, it was honorable mention. I always leave that out. I always leave out the honorable mention. Like I draw a line through honorable mention. I just leave all Big Ten. But yes, I was honorable mention. In Illinois, I would lay 10 in this game. I think Illinois has Final Four capabilities. And I think they're an absolute lock to win their first 2 games to get to the Sweet 16 in the tournament. Penn State has lost 3 games straight. They have a tough time scoring. My Aunt Louise has a glass eye, okay? Their offense is so bad, Penn State could put my Aunt Louise's glass eye to sleep. Mike's met her before. It wanders too. It's like one of those things. I have a couple of 2-second rules with people I know, okay? And my Aunt Louise, you get to look at the eye for 2 seconds, and then you got to look away. Marcus Domask is a pro. Terrence Shannon is a pro. I mean, NBA players. Penn State has none of those in this spot. Hammer time, Sia. Illinois rolls in this game.
I mean, what's so great about that is there's inside jokes built in there that are just for us, but it's still good content for everybody else as well. Absolutely love that. Love the Illinois play. Like how they closed the game at Maryland on Saturday. That was a nice win for them. By the way, AMAG says MLB futures show soon and spring training games start tomorrow. At Mark Buckholtz, hope you are ready. I'm sure he's talking to everybody there because I see a lot of people excited for MLB. I love the plays, Tim. This is the Orlando Magic show. And by the way, do you have a prop for everything? Like, where did that heart come from? We haven't seen that before.
Yeah, I just stole this from my 7-year-old daughter's room, okay? And I always wondered what Barner's ears look like. Like, are they huge? Are they really big? Are they little? I got to say, they're normal. Okay. I wasn't sure because he covers them, Martin. You don't know, like, are you protecting something? Are you insecure about something? But now we know you just have normal ears.
Yeah, we were all thinking that.
I was voted best ears on the East Coast, but there's a 2 seconds you can stare at them, so I try to cover them.
That's quite the yearbook superlative right there. Love it, Mikey B. All right, Mike McClure, speaking of superlatives, everybody loves your picks. Everybody loves your simulations. Everybody loves your Hideki Matsuyama 90-1 call, which you had on SportsLine, which you would have seen if you were a SportsLine member. You've got a college basketball play today, and it's on the Cornhuskers, correct?
Yes, sir. See another Big Ten matchup here. Look, I played Nebraska last night plus 1.5. It did not last long at that number, unfortunately. It flipped to -1, -1.5. You could still find them as a pick 'em in a lot of spots at -110. Very much a play I'm still in on. I think they should be at least a 3-point road favorite here. Indiana is a team that for some reason continues to still get some love because of the tradition of the program is really what I can come up with at this point here. This Indiana team rates outside the top 100 in both offensive and defensive rating. They're one of the worst free throw shooting teams in all of college basketball, just 66% as a team. That rates outside the top 300. They cannot play without fouling. They don't crack the top 250 in terms of defensive free throw rate. But when I look at Nebraska, this is a legitimate tournament team. Sure, if they lose this game, you could say they might be on the bubble, but I think they're getting in either way. When you look at this team, though, they're a team that's top 35 in both offensive, defensive rating, one of the better free throw shooting teams in all of college basketball. I have them inside the top 25 there, shooting 77%. Hitting free throws like that in road conference games is how you win and cover spreads. That's what I think they're able to do. But as far as Indiana's side, yes, they're at home. It's been a storied program, but it's really a lost season on that side here. So Nebraska's still a lot to play for here. Again, I think they should be closer to a 3-point favorite. They won the first meeting by 16 points. I just think this is a spot to back Nebraska here because I'm not buying IU.
Well, Mark Hood agrees. He says he loves your play. I live in Indiana, he says, and with IU, I've never seen a less inspired group of players combined with an uninspired coach. They are headed to the NIT and appear to be going through the motions. By the way, speaking of picks and speaking of agreeing with picks, Mackenzie Brooks is also in the chat. She says she's throwing a few early props for tomorrow's NBA slate on the site. And of course, you can catch her on Inside the Lines with her crew at 1 o'clock on this SportsLine channel. Ladies and gentlemen, what a day of picks. That was a lot. We had the futures, we had the ear, we revealed the ears, we had the heart prop, we had the Charles Barkley and Shaq name drops, and of course, all the picks as well. Let's take a look at those picks before we get out of here. Martin Green and the entire chat is on Marcinal moneyline -130, and Martin's also on Inter Miami -1 at -114. I've got a round 1 3-ball starts at 8:30 in the morning tomorrow, so get it in tonight. Victor Perez +110 over Bjork and Siegel. Mikey B, Magic to win the Southeast Division at +125. We got 10 games in the NBA tomorrow, folks. Tim Doyle's on one of them, Magic +7.5, and he's got Illinois tonight -7.5. And Mike McClure, Nebraska +1.5. Rick Funcannon said he got Nebraska money line last night, so people are on Mike's play already for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great show. We'll be back with you tomorrow. My one ask is our ratio on likes versus watches. We love all the viewership. We love all the activity in the chat, but we're always looking at like a 5 to 6 to 1 ratio like button versus actual viewership. So let's make a point to do it tomorrow, to get in the chat. Let's pump each other up, to hit the like button. Let's try to get like a 2 to 1 ratio going. Either way, thank you so much for being in the chat. This has been an unbelievable show. It always is on Wednesdays. Tim always puts a pep in everybody's step. So on behalf of Tim Doyle, on behalf of Mike McClure, Mikey B, Martin Green, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 9s and 10s, this is The Early Edge. I am the counselor, and we rest our case.